One of the best things we can do when creating our own site, particularly when we have a theme in mind, a branding theme that is, a niche theme, is to look at other sites that are doing similar things. In this example, I'm going to take a product of Sue's, which is a weight loss product, or rather it's a nutritional product. And this particular product talks about things like exercise, eating healthy, weight loss. It's a very in-depth, very well put together PLR package, and it's got a lot of areas you can focus on. So I'm going to look into the weight loss niche because that's like a general market. It's something almost at the top of the hierarchy. We can narrow it down from weight loss to things like exercising, then from exercising to bodybuilding, but weight loss is pretty much up there. So first I'm going to type in weight loss and see what sites come up. I'm going to open in new tabs the first 3 sites, and you might not always get it right the first time. There might be these sites that you click on to open might not be relevant. They might not be niche sites. And for this purpose of this training, I'm going to define any niche site as sort of like a bit of an article site, a site that gives a lot of information and focuses on one topic, but it's not selling a service. It may sell affiliate products, it may monetize through advertising, it may even sell one of its own products in some cases. So here we have health.com, and if you look at this, we can get a little inspiration from this. So I'm going to, because I'm recording this, my screen is actually a lot smaller, so I'm going to zoom out to shrink the pixels. And you'll see on a big screen it looks something like this. And we can see this particular theme has a border around it and has advertising through banners, probably going to external sites. So we get a pretty good idea of what our site should look like. Social media buttons, and we can look at some of the inner pages. This site is actually like a directory of different topics. So you've got health and you've got food recipes, and it's quite slow actually, which is probably because it's a big site. A lot of people visit it, and you probably don't want to fall into this trap. Now here's something interesting. Popping up, I believe, is trying to pop up, is an opt-in box. So that's something else you might consider having for your site. We'll look at the next site, Body and Soul. It's got a full width header graphic here. The menu, this is called a mega menu in web design terms, when it's got the big menu that has a lot of items to it. It's like a very wide menu with sub items. This is a bit crowded, the site. Now I like this site actually. I've looked at it before, and it's very neat. It's responsive. You can tell it's responsive because the other sites aren't. But when you shrink this, you can see how the screen responds to the size of being shrunk. So there are some ideas for what you might want your site to look like. They're 3 very different sites, but I would go with this site probably because it's the more modern. It's responsive for one, which means it's got a big nice opt-in, like all of them have opt-ins, I believe. If you shrink this one, you'll see the scroll bar, which indicates it's not responsive. And Google's starting to penalize people for having sites that are not responsive at the moment. It's as of April 2015, it's gotten really strict. So the next thing to do is to look for a theme. And you can get a lot of themes off the internet for free, but if you're going to use a free theme, I would highly advise you go to WordPress.org, because themes going through WordPress.org are filtered and validated to be virus free, which is generally the case. I mean, some might slip through the cracks, but it's a lot safer than downloading one from a site you've never heard of. So you could go through the themes one by one, which is a pretty long process. I don't find the preview in the past has been very useful because it doesn't give me much information, much feel to the theme. I guess you can see that it is responsive by doing the preview. but I really don't feel the preview shows a lot other than the front page of the blog. Okay, so if you want to find a particular theme to work with, my suggestion is go back to the themes and you do a search through the themes. And you use the filter function. Now let me just describe a few of these options for you. A fixed layout is typically a layout that it's not always responsive, but it can adapt at different sizes to the screen. Sometimes these terms are really hard to define because each person might define them a little differently. But typically a fixed layout is that the screen size is always the same on every single level, like 600 pixels, which is a measurement of unit of measurements in web design. What we want to do is what I've done. We want to try fixed layout we'll test to make sure it's responsive, but we want to tick fixed layout, the right sidebar, so we can put our ads in, and a custom header. Then we apply the filters and we have a look what we get. So let's scroll through a few of these. That looks like an e-commerce site. That looks more like a service-based site. That's a bit messy. What's something that looked good as a blog? Let's just, for argument's sake, use this one. We'll preview it. Now, as you can see, it's not responsive. It's got a horizontal scroll bar, so we don't want that one. We definitely want a theme that's responsive. Now, this could be used to have blogs on. It's more like a service page though. So you can spend a lot of time looking through themes and you can get very overwhelmed. Or, and here's my second suggestion, you use the 20 themes that come with WordPress. Anything from 2012, I believe, upwards is responsive, and they've each got very different looks and feels. I'm going to stick with 2012 for this example because this is a typical what a niche site looked like in the past. It had like a fixed layout, and it was like what they call a boxed appearance, where you would see the background here and here, and then you'd have like a box in the middle. That would be the entire site, and that's what you typically think of when you see themes. I mean, niche sites. Although the web is changing a lot. So for this example, we'll be using 2012, and we'll be incorporating that next. So stay tuned for the next video.